My top 10. Rick and Morty characters, my personal ranking. Rick and Morty has one of the most stacked character lineups in modern animation. It's not just about Rick being smart or Morty screaming through space adventures. It's the side characters, the alternate versions, and the missed potential that really make this show special. This list is my personal top 10 Rick and Morty characters. This is not about who is objectively the best written or most popular. This is about who I personally find the most interesting, frustrating, entertaining, or full of wasted potential. And yeah, this list is also going to call the show out when it underuses characters that could easily carry entire arcs on their own. Let's get into it. Number 10. Beth. My number 10 pick is Beth, and honestly, she is one of the most underused main characters in the entire show. Beth has everything needed to be an incredible character. She's emotionally damaged, deeply insecure, intelligent, and clearly inherited Rick's worst traits. But the show rarely commits to fully exploring her. There are a few great Beth episodes where we see her fear of abandonment, her resentment toward Rick, and her identity crisis as both a mother and a daughter. But those moments feel way too rare. Most of the time, Beth is pushed into the background as just the responsible parent or the nagging adult in the room. And that's frustrating, because Beth could be so much more. She's a surgeon, she's sharp, and she's clearly capable of being terrifying when pushed. The show hints at it constantly, but never fully commits. Beth should be someone who challenges Rick more often, not just emotionally, but intellectually. It feels like the writers are scared to let Beth become as complex as she deserves to be, and that's why she lands at number 10 for me. Not because she's bad, but because she's painfully underexplored. Number 9. Space Beth. Number 9 is Space Beth. And this one hurts because the potential here is insane. Space Beth is basically Rick if Rick actually followed through on abandoning domestic life entirely. She's cold, confident, violent, and clearly running from her own unresolved issues. What makes Space Beth interesting is that she represents a future Beth that Rick never allowed his original Beth to become. She's living the life Rick lives, but without the same level of emotional numbness. The problem is, once again, the show barely does anything with her. We got a cool episode focused on Rick and Space Beth, and it proved how good this dynamic can be. But then she disappears again. Space Beth could easily have her own ongoing subplot. She could go through the same existential crisis Rick went through, but from a different emotional angle. She could explore the past we never saw with Rick. She could question whether freedom is actually worth the isolation. Solar Opposites proved that animated sci-fi comedies can juggle long-term subplots with side characters. Rick and Morty absolutely could do the same with Space Beth. She shouldn't feel like a special appearance character. She should feel like a looming presence in the universe. Number 8. Birdperson. Number 8 is Birdperson, and this character has always fascinated me. Birdperson is the first real proof that Rick was once capable of genuine friendship. Not transactional alliances, not one-off partnerships, real friendship. Their bond in the past shows that Rick wasn't always the detached, cynical mess we see now. Birdperson understood Rick in a way almost no one else ever has. That's why it's so frustrating how little we actually get of them together in the present. We've had some incredible Birdperson episodes. The wedding episode, the exploration of his memories, the recent episode involving his daughter. All of it is great. But we still barely see Rick and Birdperson just being friends. They're supposed to have this deep history, but in the current timeline, they rarely feel like a duo anymore. I want to see them on actual adventures together. I want to see them click again, even if it's broken and awkward. Birdperson's species, culture, and personal philosophy are all incredibly interesting, and the show barely scratches the surface. He's not just Rick's friend, he's a mirror to what Rick lost. Number 7, Apocalypse Jerry. Number 7 goes to the Jerry from the dimension Rick ruined with the love potion. This version of Jerry is proof that Jerry isn't inherently useless. He's just shaped by his environment. This Jerry survived an apocalypse. He adapted. He became confident, aggressive, and capable. And the saddest part is that we barely see his arc. Most of his development happens off-screen. That version of Jerry could easily have been a recurring character. He could have challenged Rick in ways normal Jerry never could. He could have shown how different circumstances create completely different people. Instead, we get a glimpse of greatness, and then it's gone. That's why this Jerry ranks so high. Not because we saw a lot of him, but because what we saw was enough to prove how good it could have been. Number 6, Summer. And honestly, I think she's one of the most underrated characters in the show. Summer is independent, direct, ruthless, and surprisingly intelligent. She's emotionally closer to Beth, but mentally closer to Rick. She knows how to manipulate people, she knows how to survive, and she doesn't romanticize adventure the way Morty does. There are moments where it genuinely feels like Summer could outgrow both Rick and Morty. I actually think an alternate dimension villain Summer would be terrifying. A version of Summer who fully embraces Rick's worldview but keeps her emotional control intact would be a massive threat. The problem is, she's just not in enough episodes. When Summer is involved, she's usually hilarious and brutally honest. She reads Rick like a book, and Rick knows it. That alone makes their dynamic gold. She deserves more spotlight and more long-term development. Number 5. Jerry number 5 is normal Jerry, and yes, I genuinely love this character. Jerry is one of the funniest characters on the show because he's always wrong, always insecure, and always convinced he's right. He makes everyone around him look smarter just by existing. What makes Jerry great is that the show has finally started leaning into his potential. Episodes where Jerry accidentally succeeds or finds his own weird confidence are some of the funniest in the series. The episode where he figures out dimension travel on his own is a perfect example. It's ridiculous, but it also proves that Jerry isn't completely useless. I honestly want more solo Jerry episodes. Just Jerry being stupid, stubborn, and accidentally destructive. He's a necessary piece of the show, and it wouldn't work without him. Number 4. Rick Prime. Number 4 is Rick Prime. There isn't a lot to say about him, and that's part of what makes him so effective. Rick Prime is pure chaos. No remorse, no attachment, no hesitation. He's what Rick could have become if he fully embraced his worst impulses without guilt. Every time Rick Prime appears, the the tone of the show shifts. He's not funny. He's not quirky. He's genuinely unsettling. The show needs more villains like this. Not copies of Rick Prime, but different embodiments of darkness that challenge Rick in unique ways. Rick Prime works because he strips away the comedy and shows what unchecked intelligence actually looks like. Number 3. Morty. Number 3 is Morty. Morty is the emotional core of the show. He's the curiosity that drives the story forward, but he's also the cautionary tale. Watching Morty grow is watching innocence slowly die. When Morty falls in love, it hurts. When he gets angry, it's terrifying. And when he becomes confident, you can see Rick inside him. Morty represents the cost of adventure. He shows why curiosity can destroy you if you're not careful. His arc is deep, tragic, and incredibly well written. Number 2 is Rick. Rick is one of the most complex animated characters ever written. He's powerful, arrogant, hilarious, and completely broken. Watching Rick makes you feel smart, but also deeply uncomfortable. Because the more you understand him, the sadder he becomes. His trauma, his guilt, and his inability to truly connect with people make him fascinating. Rick isn't just a genius, he's a warning. Number 1, Evil Morty. Number 1 is Evil Morty. I don't even need to explain this one. Evil Morty is everything Rick fears and everything Morty could become. He's calm, strategic, and completely detached from Rick's moral framework. Every appearance he makes feels important. Give us more Evil Morty, as soon as possible. That's my personal top 10 Rick and Morty characters. If there's one thing this list proves, it's that this show has insane potential that it doesn't always fully use. And that's both exciting and frustrating. Let me know your top 10, because I guarantee it looks completely different from mine. And yeah, we need more Evil Morty.